Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at a moment when the entire modern world came to a screeching, completely unexpected halt. I want you to imagine a system so massive, so intricate, and so perfectly timed that it spans the entire globe, moving literally trillions of dollars of goods right to your front door. Now imagine all of that grinding to a dead standstill because of a single, simple steering mistake. Wild, right? We are unpacking the Suez Canal crisis of 2021, breaking down exactly how one single ship gridlocked global trade and uncovering the hidden reasons why it actually ended up making the prices of your everyday items go up. To really wrap our heads around the sheer mind-boggling scale of what happened, we need to talk numbers. Think about the daily revenue of the world's most profitable tech giants. Apple makes roughly $0.2 to $0.3 billion a day. Amazon, they pull in around a massive $1 billion every single day. But look at the disruption caused by the evergiven. We're talking an estimated $9 to $10 billion worth of global trade disrupted every single day it sat stuck. $10 billion. That is billions of dollars of goods, from vital oil and energy supplies down to the consumer electronics we rely on, just sitting there, trapped. This wasn't just some local shipping delay. It was an instantaneous economic hemorrhage. It proved, without a doubt, that one narrow waterway can literally shake the entire global economy.
Section 1. Anatomy of a blockage. How one ship stopped the world.
So, how exactly does a modern, technologically advanced global system just completely derail? Well, let's zoom in on the physical scale of the event itself. The culprit was a vessel named the Evergiven, and it is quite literally one of the largest container ships ever built by human hands. We're talking about a ship that is almost 400 meters long. To put that into perspective, if you took the Empire State Building and laid it flat on the ground, this ship would still be taller. And it wasn't exactly traveling light either. It was carrying over 20,000 shipping containers. It's an absolute towering behemoth of the seas, essentially moving a small city's worth of cargo in a single trip, which honestly makes what happened next almost comical if it weren't so financially devastating. And you know what the absolute craziest part is? It wasn't even a dramatic crash or some massive explosion that brought this Titan down. It was just a steering mistake. On March 23, 2021, this colossal ship entered the narrow navigation channel of the Suez Canal. Suddenly, the conditions shifted. A heavy sandstorm rolled in, severely dropping visibility, while these incredibly strong winds began pushing against the massive, sail-like side of the ship's hull. In a confined, narrow space like the canal, even a tiny drift matters immensely. The ship ran aground and wedged itself diagonally across both banks. And because no ship could pass in front of or behind it, navigation was completely, totally blocked.
Section 2. The Africa Detour. The cost of losing the ultimate shortcut.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the timing. The Suez Canal handles around 10 to 12% of all global maritime trade. A standard shipment traveling from China to Europe through the canal normally takes about 30 days. It's a remarkably well-oiled machine. But with the canal suddenly blocked, ships had only one other option: to reroute all the way down and around Africa's Cape of Good Hope. Overnight, that super predictable 30-day journey ballooned to 45 or even 55 days. That massive detour around Africa adds an agonizing 10,000 extra kilometers to the journey. Just think about that for a second. Imagine hundreds of massive cargo ships, already out at sea, instantly having to pivot and sail an extra 10,000 kilometers just to reach their destinations. It severely delayed thousands of shipments, burned untold millions in extra fuel costs, and basically threw global delivery schedules completely out the window.
Meanwhile, back in Egypt, a desperate around-the-clock rescue operation was kicking off, and this timeline shows us exactly how those 6 agonizing days of chaos unfolded. On day 1, the ship gets completely wedged diagonally, and the ultimate traffic jam begins. By days 2 and 3, authorities are bringing in fleets of tugboats and massive dredgers to literally scoop tons of sand away from the ship's bow. When that isn't enough, days 4 and 5 see them escalating to high-pressure water jets and highly complex weight redistribution techniques just to try and float the vessel off the banks. Finally, on day 6, after just an immense engineering effort, the Evergiven was freed. But as we'll see, the real damage was already done. Section 3. The supply chain ripple. How local delays create global chaos.
So, the crucial point here is that when the canal stopped, global supply chains didn't just quietly hit pause, they broke apart in a massive cascading domino effect. Because modern global trade relies on incredibly tight, fragile, perfectly timed schedules. It starts at step 1,
Factories across Europe and beyond, waiting for vital parts to arrive via ship, simply have to stop production because they run out of materials. That leads directly to step 2. Massive retailers waiting for that inventory suddenly face barren shelves and stock shortages. And finally, step 3, as the canal is cleared and all those delayed, rerouted ships start arriving at their destination ports at the exact same time, the logistics networks clog up completely. It's like a massive traffic jam hitting all at once. Because in global trade, nothing exists in isolation, right? Everything depends on everything else.
Section 4. $10 billion a day. Calculating the true cost of a traffic jam. Over the 6 short days the canal was blocked, an estimated $50 to $60 billion in total trade value was disrupted. Billion, with a B. That enormous figure includes the delayed cargo flows, the massive shipping inefficiencies, the sprawling port congestion, the sudden rerouting expenses, and the ballooning insurance losses. It is an astronomical, almost incomprehensible figure for less than a single week of downtime.
But hold on, we need to make a really important economic distinction here. We are defining this as a disruption. This 50 to 60 billion wasn't money simply destroyed or tossed into a fire. It was money delayed, capital tied up on ships, rerouted through longer journeys, or absorbed into extra unexpected logistics costs. However, economically speaking, in the world of shipping and business, delays equal real costs. And those cascading costs, well, they eventually have to be paid by someone. Which brings us right to the prices you pay at the store. You likely remember prices going up and really feeling the pinch back in 2021. But let's impartially look at the actual drivers of those increases, so we can separate correlation from causation. The biggest true factors driving prices up were the lingering COVID supply shocks, a massive global semiconductor shortage, and a huge surge in consumer demand after lockdowns ended. The Suez crisis was a short-term amplifier, not the sole root cause. It didn't single-handedly create the 2021 inflation crisis, but it added intense, highly visible pressure to a global logistics system that was already cracking at the seams.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this all builds. Efficiency versus resilience, the core lesson of the Evergiven. And this brilliantly illustrates the central conflict in modern corporate logistics. On the left, we have efficient supply chains. They rely on single sources to save pennies, extremely long transport chains, and absolutely zero buffer inventory. It's incredibly lean and highly profitable during peacetime. But on the right, we have resilient supply chains. These prioritize diversified supply nodes, they keep essential goods buffered and stocked, and they utilize shorter, closer supply chains. Sure, they are slightly more expensive to operate day to day, but crucially, they do not completely collapse when a single ship gets stuck in a canal. It really boils down to what this quote perfectly summarizes, because companies optimize for efficiency, but efficiency often comes at the cost of resilience. For decades, major corporations have optimized almost entirely for cost-saving efficiency just to boost margins. But as the Evergiven showed us so clearly, that lack of resilience creates massive, dangerous vulnerabilities. The second an inevitable global shock occurs, all those penny-pinching efficiencies instantly turn into billion-dollar liabilities. So here's the hard, undeniable truth we all have to accept. Global shocks are not rare. They are an inevitable part of living in an interconnected world. The next massive disruption won't necessarily be a canal. It could be a sudden cyber attack on a major international port, a totally unforeseen extreme weather event, or geopolitical conflict shifting trade routes. The system will absolutely be tested again. So as we look to the future of our global economy, the real question isn't if it will happen, but where will it be? If you want to keep mastering the hidden, complex systems that quietly shape our daily lives and stay ahead of the next massive global shift before it hits your wallet, I'd love for you to join our community. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an explainer. And if you're curious to dive deeper and see how resilience actually wins out in massive retail battles, you've got to check out our piece on Why Costco Destroys Walmart, Supply Chain Excellence. Because remember, the massive, intricate systems you never see are exactly the ones shaping your life every single day. Thanks so much for exploring this with us, and I'll catch you in the next one.